there's been some issues cropping up at the restaurant that I help at called Suffusion. Some more holes have been uncovered in the floors, and well, we're just going to address the one that is easier to address right now. I'm going to measure the hole. It's right over a wall in the basement, so I can't put anything underneath it. So I'm going to make a plug. And in this video, we're going to cover how to 3D model the plug for it. And then in the next video, we're going to have to 3D scan a big gash that they found on the floor and make a 3D printed, 3D scanned replacement for it. So this is the hole that appeared. The people who repaired this before they got this building, they just put foam down there. You cannot do that. So I'm gonna have to pick that out, and they're just going into their busy few days, so I'm not gonna do it now. So I'll film this next week, but we're gonna dig that out whenever they have less customers, and then we'll 3D scan it and 3D print it. And I can also make a wood plug for that one. And the other one, now I've been trying to plug this for a while, but this one, oh yeah, someone even dropped some glass in there because they couldn't sweep it out. So we're gonna have to deal with that. And yeah, they tried covering it in, but that's just not gonna work, unfortunately, because you can't access it. There's a really thick wall, because down the basement there's masonry, and then they have the drywall come out this far, so I'd have to like cut through the wall, and I can't really do that. The landlord would be a little too difficult about that. So we have a maximum circumference of do a little bit more than that, I think, but okay, it's exactly 2 inches. So let's see if let's see if 52 millimeters will fit. Ooh, not quite. Okay. 51 millimeters. Okay, 51 millimeters is about there. So if we do that, we can make a plug that will just crush right in there. Now I'm gonna get my vacuum cleaner, and I'm gonna clean out, because anything that's swept up, it just falls in there. That's dangerous. And then also 51 millimeters, but .22 millimeters. So let's say 20 millimeters. Okay, we have our measurements. Time to go home, and I'll show you how to 3D model this for 3D printing. Thank you. You can't take my dirt from me. So, right, we're gonna 3D model a floor plug in case you can't get from underneath. Because the best idea is to get a hole saw and cut out a little circle of wood, put a piece of wood underneath the floorboards, and then glue that in and maybe put some wood filler around it. But in this case, I can't get from underneath, so I'm gonna have to make something that can go in from the top and maybe even has like little arrows or something so it holds itself in. I'm using an older version of Blender out of preference because this is the last version of Blender that I can find that allows horizontal menus, and I like this setup that I've had for like the past 17 years, so I'm going to stick with this. Plus, it works great for this type of modeling. But if you use a different program or a newer version of Blender, a lot of the same things will still carry over, and usually the terms are about similar as well. Extruding, bevels, things like that. So we have Blender 2.79a, and so bear with the fact that things are a little bit different in the UI, but the actual basic structure is pretty common. So you'll see commonalities between, you can take things from this and put it onto whatever software you're using. So there's two ways to go about making this plug. that I initially see. Firstly, I could use a cylinder, and now this cylinder isn't set yet, so this is a specific thing to Blender where I haven't done anything with the cylinder. So if I hit F6, I can change its like number of sides and all sorts of stuff. So if I was going to do this, I would do, well, maybe 128 in case I had to do it by hand, and then I would do 2.55, then depth of 2. So that would be 51 millimeters by 20 millimeters and 128 sides. Now, this could get a little bit difficult to do things with, and I'm kind of on the fence. So let's do it both ways. I'm going to move this over, and then I'm also going to add a cube. Now, the other way of doing it is, it might not be as exact, but it could be good for some situations. You add a subsurface multiplier, which smooths it out. And then you go inside of it. You go to edit mode with it selected. You click on edge select, and then you just select top pieces and bottom pieces. You hit Shift E, and then you crease it. So that's another way to make a cylinder. And so I'm probably going to want to make the middle part of this bow in a little bit. And I'm thinking for this, what I would do is I would select the bottom and I would extrude it. Extrusion, it just adds another one. So then you could even extrude like that if you wanted. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude it. Oops. I'm going to hit E for extrude. I'm going to scale it down. And actually, this is 4 points. I don't even need this. I'm just going to go hit W and then merge at center. So there, now it's curved in the bottom of it. If I was using this method, I can't quite curve it in unless I reslice this bottom piece, because this bottom piece is a 128-sided circle, because we have polygons more than 3 sides for quite a long time now. And so for this, what I would do is I would actually add another object, an ecosphere. Hit F6, make it really smooth. Oh, what's this? Okay, there we go. I would scale it up. I would scale it up until it impinges into it. And then this object's called ecosphere. I'll select the cylinder. I'll go to the modifiers tab, add modifier, Boolean. Boolean is a function that will transfer to other things. Most 3D software has a Boolean function. And what Boolean means is that you can have one object and you can take the other object and you can add it or subtract it, and it'll, as if it's a solid, kind of like you're machining away. And so I'm going to go to difference, because you have intersect, union, it adds the two together, or difference. I'm going to go to difference. B-mesh and carve are just two different ways. Sometimes one gets an error, sometimes the other one, but carve tends to be more accurate. And then I'm going to click the ecosphere. And then I'm going to hit apply. Whenever I delete this, you see that the sphere actually carved out the bottom of it. So that's another way for me to do that carved out bottom. Now I'm going to see if I can do it just with this, because I like the 128 sides. And I don't feel like having to deal with the subsurf. And this is the exact size that I want. But I'm going to keep that in mind, that I could just go with this and work with a lot less, and it'd be a lot easier to deal with, even if it's not going to be the exact size. Now, if I want this to be the exact size, what I would do is, because this makes the cylinder to the exact size you specify. This one, you specify the exact size, and then it curves it in, so you lose a little bit. So I would just hit space, type in ruler, and then I would set it to whatever size I want. And that's another way to... So then I would just take this and then scale it up so that it met whatever size I wanted, but it didn't seem quite as exact. So we're going to undo that for now. We're going to try to focus on this. So for this, I'm going to take this and I'm going to bring this down. I want that to be about right here. And then I'm going to actually extrude once, and then extrude again. And this one I can take all the way up. If I want to make this exact, I hit in, and then I can make this, I can enter in the coordinates of where I want it. Like I could put 3 and it moves it up, or I could put 0 and it moves it down, or I could put 1. It just moves whatever the center of all those points are that I have selected. So now we have this. And I'm going to switch over to looking at the vertices, and I'm going to make it clear. Oh, whoops, I actually did do a mistake. I need to do this and extend it, extrude it more. Right, because I'm going to take this part. I'm going to take this ring in the middle, and I'm going to scale it out, and then I'm going to move it up. So that's going to be the ring. It's going to be like a sacrificial ring that will get caught. It'll be like a fish hook almost. And that should 3D print fairly well. And then whenever I hit this thing into the hole, that'll deform, and it should be like an arrowhead where it gets stuck in the hole. And now with this, it means that I have to print it this way up, but oh well. And then I'm going to go back to polygon select. I'm going to grab this piece. And now for this, I'm going to extrude, and then I'm going to scale it up. So what I've done here is I've scaled it up like this, and I have it flat. So I'm making that underside. And I'm thinking I'll probably want it to be something like that. Then I'll extrude again, and I'll scale in. Actually, you know what? For the top piece, I'm actually going to add a UV sphere. Oops. Let me get my measurements correct. I'm going to add a UV sphere, and I'm going to make it have a lot of sides, so it's really exact. Yeah, so now I'm going to actually use the Boolean function the other way. So I'm actually going to subtract what's not in the sphere. So I'm going to click on the part. I'm going to do a Boolean modifier. This one is going to be intersect the sphere with the carve algorithm and hit apply. So now whenever I hit this and delete that, that's what we're left with. And I think that'll probably be the kind of thing that we need. 5 millimeters. I think that's all that I can really get away with. I wouldn't want to go any shorter than that, you know? So now there is another option with this about a way that I could 3D print it, but I'd have to print it in multiple pieces. Okay, so I think I will print it as one piece. I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this ring. I'm going to modify it. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to select the inverse. I'm going to hide it. Now I'm going to select random. Can I do more random? Select random. a little better. Let me undo some of these. Doing some of those. Undo that. Doing some of those. And then what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to bring them down a little bit. Reveal everything else. So now I can select these. I just want to randomize it so it's not going to be a continuous circle. Let me see how I do this. I'm going to move it down. I'm going to scale it in. So it's kind of like a jagged thing. I think that might go over better. Something like that. Wow. I think that could actually grip pretty well and not make it too hard.
I think so.
Because I worry about this. If I make it a single ring, it might be a little too hard to pound into the floor.
Yep.
And I'm a little bit low on confidence on that depth measurement, so I'm going to bring it up 1.5 millimeters. Now the other thing to talk about is how whenever we actually slice this for 3D printing, it's going to make the inside just infill. Whenever this gets sliced, the middle part, and now this is a little too little infill, the middle part is just infill. And one way to reinforce that is to actually add negative cavities inside of this shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a cube. I'm just going to modify it by hand. Now the key is you want this to actually have flipped faces. So I'm going to hit W and flip the normals. Okay, so if we hide this, what we have now is this shape. And if we just let that be inside of this shape, then whenever we save it and reload it and then put it in, now this is going to think that this is going to be a hollow part. And everywhere it's a hollow part, it's actually going to add a wall. So you can make the 3D print way stronger in the middle because then it'll be adding all of this wall in there. So that's a little trick that you can do to add a cavity. And a lot of the professional 3D prints that you see online, like for pliers and stuff like that, sometimes they'll do this to strengthen something on the inside to basically almost build like the same kind of logic as a truss uses or something like that. I've now fixed all the print settings, made it have extra lines, and upped the infill pattern, and as you can see, it's a lot denser. It still is better to have those cavities in there because they add a lot of rigidity, but this is definitely going to be pretty strong as long as it fits and holds up. Meanwhile, it's only going to use about $1 worth of plastic, which isn't too bad. Now to print it. Now to print it on this Anycubic Cobra Max, which is proving pretty reliable. That's pretty good. In fact, I'm gonna go 220. Anytime you're 3D printing something that's structural, it's good to go about in the middle or even on the hotter end of whatever the recommendation on your spool is. And with this one, yeah, 220 is actually closer to the middle because it's 210 to 230. So it printed last night, and that's what we got. The tree supports are so interesting, but they do save plastic, at least in this case. I'm gonna put it in with this mount my great-grandfather made. Whew. Oh my God. I guess they tried fixing it or something, but... Oh, let's see how this goes. I gotta get back to helping the coffee shop fix a door. I mean, actually, well, we're cleaning up, getting the coffee shop door fixed. So, yeah. Yeah. Well, I guess you're done.
I'm done.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been routering the edge of this door. Didn't quite go too well, but I mean, it locks fine. It's just because the key was locked into the office, I mean, for the coffee shop. So they had to break the other door. And they ripped the bottom out, or the side out of it. So, thanks for cleaning that up while I ran over there. I'm just going to move this against the wall so it doesn't get water damage and it's on the way. Or it doesn't fall, because it's like...
It might fall.
It's like 50 pounds, 70 pounds, something like that.
You want to put it over there?
Yeah, I will.
Water coming in?
It does. I can put it on wood. Well, the plug worked great. It went right in.
Nice.
And I showed Sophia's brother, and he was like, "Oh, very cool," or whatever his accent is. I did a German accent, but oh well. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you very much for watching. See you. This video won't be entirely applicable to whatever you see me. My line of thinking is just all off today. I can't. I feel like resting. I don't feel like doing a video.
I know.
The steps I do in this video are going to be a little bit different than what you're going to be doing on Blender. I don't get why Kira take. Oh my God.
Oh man.
Anytime you're doing something that's structural, it's always good to at least go in the middle. Whoops.